I was getting ready to transplant the scallion seedling, which meant it was time to prepare the soil. My plan was to mix in compost along with the horse manure I dropped on this bed a few weeks ago. Back then, I didn't mix it in, I just dumped it and left the sun to dry it out. I kept postponing when I would finally amend the soil. Whenever I'm preparing a garden bed for planting or amending the soil on any bed, I approach it with one thought in mind. The soil should be able to grow anything. I don't amend my soil for one particular crop. Whether it's a fruiting plant, leafy vegetable, or a bulbing crop, this soil has to support them all. Leafy vegetables thrive on nitrogen, while fruiting crops need potassium, calcium, and phosphorus. And that's the goal, building a balanced, nutrient-rich soil that can handle whatever I decide to grow. Here in my garden in Port Harcourt, Nigeria, I work with native soil. I don't bury my seedlings in pure compost. Instead, I start by building my native soil, adding lots of organic matter, feeding it nutrients. Compost for me is a backup, a support system when my soil needs a little boost. Sometimes if I'm planting in a container and need to top up the soil, I mix it in with a bit of compost. But the truth is, you don't need compost to plant when your soil is already built and packed with all the nutrients and more than what compost can provide. So this is how I build my soil to grow anything. I decided to show you this because in a small space or bed, you can grow a variety of plants using your native soil without compost. On this bed, I had already dumped the horse manure. This bed was empty except for one pepper plant, and then arugula seeds that fell here sprouted and have been surviving ever since. When I added the horse manure, even the water leaves came back to life. I'll also be adding chicken manure. I noticed the horse manure was mixed with a lot of wood chippings instead of pure horse dung. The chicken manure, on the other hand, is from my friend's poultry, Landra Farms, here in Port Harcourt. It's richer with more chicken poop than sawdust, and it's from layer beds. So I've gone to get just one bag of chicken manure so I can add it to the horse manure. I love using manure, especially mixing different types to capture each one's unique qualities. Most times I mix up 4 types of manure, sometimes 3 and sometimes 2. Chicken, horse, cow, rabbit, goat, whatever is available. And around here, farmers are willing to sell manure at a really good price. And as you already know, I make my own liquid soil input using everything nature provides to build my soil structure and grow my food. Let's talk about compost for a while so you don't get it wrong. I'm all for compost. I love compost. And yes, I do compost. My kitchen scraps, market vegetables, scraps, all these things I share here on my YouTube channel. My team and I are everywhere gathering green and brown materials. And they all go into making my plant life compost, which we even sell to other gardeners. I enjoy the art of making compost, but I don't rely on it. So after adding the chicken manure, I mixed it into the soil thoroughly. The soil was hard and dry. It's dry season here and I only water beds with plants growing on them. My garden is big, so I can't water everything. I can't wait for the rainy season. I've been preparing my beds in anticipation. Plants love rainwater. Let me tell you, this part wasn't easy. It's like I was in the gym because I was sweating. So next thing, I sprinkled fish bone meal. I get this from my family house. My mom cooks a lot of fish and she saves the bone, which she blends into fine powder and keeps till I visit. This batch is special. It includes fish head, prawn heads, and even some crab shell. I like to think of it as seasoning my soil. Because who doesn't like good food? So your soil also loves all that good food. So feed your soil so your soil can feed your plants. After adding the fish bone powder and all the other stuff mixed into it, I had to rake it so that it can just, get into the soil, all parts of the soil. So it doesn't end here. Oh. I watered the bed with my liquid organic fertilizers. If you're curious, I've got videos on my channel showing how I make them. So I'm adding my fish amino acid, and I'll also be adding my banana peel liquid fertilizer. I'll put the link in the description or in the comments if you want to watch these videos on how I made these liquid soil inputs. So I'll use that to water my bed, and one thing you should take note of is the soil after preparation. When you're watering your soil, make sure that it has good drainage, that the soil is taking all of that water and the water is not on top, it's just going right into the soil. The final step was to mulch the soil to keep it from drying out. I won't plant right away. I know the plan was to plant immediately because I wanted to plant my scallion seedlings, but then I changed my mind and decided to do a how-to video on soil. So I'll give this soil another 2 weeks to rest and settle before planting. This is how I build my soil to grow anything. When your soil is rich and balanced, you don't need compost. You can plant anything in this soil. And that's it. That's how I build my soil to grow anything without relying on compost, by working with native soil and adding the right nutrients. I've created a garden bed that can grow whatever I choose: leafy greens, fruiting plants, and even root crops. Don't forget, if you're curious about my liquid organic fertilizers and other soil building techniques, check out my other videos. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, you can plant anything in this soil. See you in my next video. Bye.